Hello everyone, I am Rajmohan CV from the batch of 2020 of ILS Law College Pune. In this video, I discuss the concept of rescission of a contract. Rescission, or in Latin rescissio, means to make void or making void. Hence, rescission of a contract is making a contract void or unenforceable in a court of law. Rescission may be rescission ab initio or rescission de futuro. When a contract is made void only with regard to future or further obligations, such rescission is known as rescission de futuro, that is making void in the future or for the future. In contrast to rescission de futuro, rescission ab initio is not merely making void for the future, but is making void from the very beginning of the contract, from the very inception of the contract, as if the contract never existed in the first place. Hence, under rescission ab initio, even the benefits that has already accrued to the parties under the contract are impacted, and thus there is a need to restore the parties to the respective positions that they occupied before the execution of the contract. Rescission de futuro is often referred to using terms such as termination, discharge or discharge by breach, and the term rescission is presently used commonly to refer to the concept of rescission ab initio. Herein, the term is used to refer to both the concepts. The distinction between rescission ab initio and rescission de futuro may be gathered from the judgment of the Honorable UK Court of Appeal in Howard Jones versus State, and also the judgments that has been referred to therein. Rescission may either be by act of parties or by court or equitable rescission. Rescission by act of parties occur when a party to a contract or when the parties to a contract agree to rescind the contract, or when there is no dispute to the option of rescission of a contract. That is, when there are mutual negotiations and both the parties agree to end the contract, whether or not such agreement extends to secondary obligations, such rescission may be an express rescission. On the other hand, let's suppose that one party, believing that the contract has become voidable, communicates to the other party that he is rescinding the contract, and if the other party does not dispute such rescission or the option to rescind the contract or the non-performance that follows, then depending on the facts and circumstances of that case, there may be an implied rescission of a contract. Rescission by act of parties is contemplated by Section 62 or presupposed by Section 62 of the Act itself. Section 62 presupposes the power to agree to rescind. Section 62 states, if the parties to a contract agree to rescind it, the original contract need not be performed. When there is a rescission by act of parties, the provisions of Section 64, 65, and when there is a breach, Section 75 of the Contracts Act may apply unless the secondary obligations under such provisions have also been dispensed with by the parties under the agreement. The next kind of rescission by court is necessitated when there is no rescission by act of parties. That is, when the parties cannot agree to rescind a contract, or when there is an actual dispute with regard to one party's right to rescind the contract. Section 27 of the Specific Relief Act empowers the court to grant the relief of rescission. The relief under Section 27 is a discretionary relief that no person can claim as a matter of right. There are two grounds upon which a person may claim the relief of rescission under Section 27. These grounds are under Clause A and B of subsection 1 to the section. The first ground is where the contract is voidable or terminable. There is a specific meaning for the term voidable under the Contracts Act, and in light of the judgment of the Privy Council in Muralidhar Chatterjee versus Indian Film Company, the term terminable may also be comprehended or included. The import of that term may be included within the term voidable itself. Hence, in my opinion, this is one ground to apply for rescission. The other ground to apply for rescission is where the agreement is unlawful for causes not apparent on its face, and the defendant is more to blame than the plaintiff. When a person rightfully applies under these grounds, then also there is no right to gain the relief of rescission. The court must necessarily look at the entire facts and circumstances of the case. Section 27 subsection 2 provides 4 circumstances that must necessarily be taken into account by the court. The first circumstance is whether the contract has been ratified either expressly or impliedly. For instance, when there is a material breach claimed by the party claiming rescission, whether that breach has been impliedly or expressly ratified. The second circumstance is whether the parties can be restored to their relative positions that they occupied before executing the contract. And if it's impossible to do so, such a circumstance should not be the result of the defendant's conduct. This circumstance is particularly relevant when a party claims rescission ab initio and not merely rescission de futuro. The third circumstance is whether any third party has, for value, without notice and in good faith, acquired any rights with relation to the contract or in the subject matter of the contract during the subsistence of such contract. The fourth circumstance is whether in a case where the parties seek the rescission of a part of a contract, whether the part sought to be rescinded is severable from the part sought to be retained as enforceable. Hence, Section 27 provides 2 grounds upon which a party may seek rescission and provides 4 circumstances that the court must look to while considering whether or not to grant the relief of rescission. Section 28 of the Specific Relief Act also deals with the relief of rescission with regard to a particular factual scenario. It applies when there is a decree for specific performance of a contract with relation to lease or sale of an immovable property, and where there is a default on the purchase money or the sum of money that the court has directed the decree holder to pay. There are incidental provisions under the sections which also deals with a case where the purchase money is promptly paid by the decree holder. Section 29 is a permissive provision that allows a party who claims the right of specific performance to alternatively seek the relief of rescission. That is, I can ask the court to grant me the relief of rescission if the court finds it fit to deny me the relief of specific performance. The opposite, however, is not true. A party who seeks the relief of rescission cannot claim the relief of specific performance as an alternative plea in the same suit. The last provision in the chapter which relates to the concept of rescission is Section 30. It empowers the court to direct a party who has received the relief of rescission to restore to the opposite party any benefit that he has acquired under the contract. This provision must be read in light of Section 64 of the Contracts Act and Section 65 of the Contracts Act. That is it with regard to the concept of rescission. I hope this helps. Thank you.